August 31st, 1985, 8:42 in the morning, East Los Angeles. A bloodied man sprints through residential streets. Behind him, an angry mob wielding metal pipes. He vaults over fences, ducks through yards, desperate to escape. Corner of Euclid Avenue and Hubbard Street. They corner him. A man swings a steel bar. It connects with his skull. When police arrive, the beaten fugitive gasps with relief. "Thank God you came." He knows the truth. One more minute, and the mob would have torn him apart. This man's name is Ricardo Munoz Ramirez. He is 25 years old. Over the past 14 months, he murdered at least 13 people. He attacked children, elderly victims, young couples. He carved out a woman's eyes and kept them in a jewelry box as trophies. He forced his victims to swear allegiance to Satan before taking their lives. But you don't know the strangest part yet. When police arrested him, they discovered he had almost no teeth. The few that remained were blackened, rotted, decayed. His smile was so grotesque that every surviving victim remembered it. Witnesses described him as having almost a complete absence of teeth and a killer clown smile, and those rotting teeth ultimately sent him to death row. This is the story of how the most ordinary things, teeth, fingerprints, shoes, stopped absolute evil. The story of a man born on a day that only exists once every 4 years. The story of the man the press called the Night Stalker, because the most terrifying details were hidden even from the media. February 29th, 1960, El Paso, Texas. A family of Mexican immigrants. Mother Mercedes works at a shoe factory, breathing chemical fumes throughout her pregnancy. All 5 children in the family are born with defects, respiratory problems, bone deformities. The last child arrives, Ricardo Leyva Munoz Ramirez, a boy born on a day that only exists once every 4 years. At age 2, a dresser falls on him, deep gash across his forehead. At age 5, he falls from a swing set, loses consciousness. The seizures begin. Doctors diagnose damage to his temporal lobe. This damage will cause aggression and impulsivity in the years to come. But physical trauma is nothing compared to what happens inside the home. Father Julian, a former railroad worker with a head injury, prone to explosive violence. Family members describe the home as a place ruled by fear. Beatings are routine. Punishments are unpredictable. Sometimes, as punishment, Julian ties young Richard to a cross in a cemetery and leaves him there overnight. Imagine this. You're 7 years old, alone in a graveyard in the dark, tied to a cross. Your own father did this to you. Mother Mercedes works 16-hour shifts at the factory. The children are left unsupervised. Violence becomes normal. Fear becomes daily routine. Richard begins sleeping in the cemetery voluntarily to avoid his father. At 10, he smokes marijuana and drinks alcohol. He is searching for escape, and he finds the most toxic mentorship imaginable. Cousin Miguel Mike Ramirez, Vietnam War veteran, decorated soldier, and secretly a war criminal. Miguel does something that destroys the last remnants of humanity in 12-year-old Richard. He shows the boy Polaroid photographs, graphic images from Vietnam. In the photographs, Vietnamese women tied to trees, before and after violence, before and after death, decapitated bodies, dismembered remains. One particular photograph shows Miguel posing with a woman's severed head. Richard is only 12 years old when he sees this. Years later, when asked about this moment by a court psychiatrist, Ramirez would state, "That's when I understood. Death isn't the end, it's transformation. Miguel showed me that. He showed me power. The psychiatrist asked, "Power over what?" Ramirez replied, "Power over everything, life, death, fear. When you take a life, you become something more. You decide who lives and who dies. Miguel taught me that." "Look how easy it is," Miguel tells his young nephew. The stories Miguel shares are not cautionary tales. They are boasts. He speaks of wartime violence with pride. He teaches Richard military techniques, how to move silently, how to break into homes undetected, how to neutralize targets efficiently. Miguel smokes marijuana with Richard, introduces him to harder substances. For a young boy already living in an abusive household, these sessions blur the boundary between fantasy and reality. Violence stops being something to fear. It becomes something to admire. May 4th, 1975. 15-year-old Richard is at Miguel's home. A domestic argument begins between Miguel and his wife, Jessie. Miguel pulls out a gun, shoots Jessie in the face in front of Richard. Later, Ramirez tells investigators it did not traumatize him. On the contrary, it fascinated him. He watched his cousin end his wife's life, watched the moment of death, and he felt nothing but curiosity. Miguel is arrested. Trial begins. The defense argues Miguel is a decorated war veteran suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Verdict: not guilty by reason of insanity. The war hero is sent to a psychiatric facility, not prison. 15-year-old Richard understands the crucial lesson. You can take a life in front of a witness and avoid real punishment. The system protects those it deems valuable. Violence has consequences only for some people. This lesson changes everything. Richard begins spending nights in cemeteries to escape his father. To sneak out undetected, he uses the military techniques Miguel taught him, the skills of a trained soldier passed from veteran to teenager in the darkness. After Miguel's release in 1977, Richard moves in with his older sister Ruth and her husband Roberto. Roberto is an obsessed voyeur. He takes Richard on nightly walks where they observe women through windows. Sometimes Miguel joins them. Picture this: a teenager spending nights engaged in criminal voyeurism alongside grown men, one of whom committed murder and showed him photographs of mutilated victims. At school, Richard is bullied. He drops out of Jefferson High in 9th grade, shortly before graduation, works at a Holiday Inn, using the master key to steal from sleeping guests. During one shift, he commits criminal acts against 2 children in an elevator. No one reports it. Then he attempts to assault a woman in her room. Her husband catches him, beats him severely. But the couple lives out of state and refuses to return for trial. Charges are dropped. Another lesson: the system does not work. In 1982, at age 22, Richard Ramirez moves to California. He begins using cocaine heavily, lives as a drifter between San Francisco and Los Angeles, sleeps at the Greyhound bus station in downtown Los Angeles, associates with thieves and burglars who frequent the station, learning their methods. He discovers AC/DC. The song Night Prowler from their 1979 album Highway to Hell becomes his anthem. The lyrics describe an intruder operating in the dead of night, breaking into homes, telling victims, "There ain't nothing you can do." The song's ominous tone resonates with something dark inside him. He is ready. April 10th, 1984. Tenderloin District, San Francisco. 9-year-old Mei Leung plays with her 8-year-old brother in the basement of their apartment building. They are searching for a lost $1 bill. A man approaches. "I'll help you find it," he says. He leads the girl into the basement. There, He ends her life. The details are too disturbing to describe fully. This is Richard Ramirez's first confirmed victim. Police do not connect this crime to the Night Stalker until 2009, 24 years after Ramirez's arrest, when DNA finally matches. In 2016, authorities discovered DNA from a second suspect at the scene, a child. This person is never identified. Perhaps Ramirez did not act alone, or perhaps he had a witness. Perhaps he was recreating what Miguel did to him, showing another child the horror. After Mei Leung's death, Ramirez vanishes for 2 months. What he did during this time remains unknown. Perhaps he was afraid. Perhaps he was planning. Perhaps he harmed others we will never know about. June 28, 1984. He returns. 79-year-old Jenny Vincow sleeps in her apartment in Glassell Park, Los Angeles. Ramirez removes the screen from an open window, enters silently, using the techniques Miguel taught him. He ends her life with extreme violence while she sleeps. He robs the apartment and disappears into the night. Police find Ramirez's fingerprint on the window screen, but databases are not yet sophisticated enough. The print remains unidentified. The case is filed as an unsolved burglary. Another 9 months of silence. March 1985. Something changes. Perhaps the cocaine addiction intensifies. Perhaps the satanic beliefs deepen. Perhaps he simply runs out of money and needs to steal again. Whatever the reason, he attacks 3 times in one day. March 17th, morning, Rosemead. Maria Hernandez pulls into her garage. A man approaches. She sees the gun, raises her keys instinctively to protect herself. He fires. The bullet ricochets off the keys. She falls to the ground, pretending to be deceased. Smart decision. It saves her life. Ramirez enters the home, finds Maria's roommate Dale Okazaki, shoots her once in the forehead. She dies instantly. He steals what he can carry and leaves. Less than an hour later, Monterey Park. 30-year-old Cy Leon Veronica Yu sits in her car. Ramirez approaches, drags her from the vehicle, shoots her twice. She dies on arrival at the hospital. The press begins writing about an intruder killer with bulging eyes, curly hair, and bad teeth. March 27th, Whittier, home of Vincent and Maxine Zazzara. Ramirez breaks into a home he already burglarized a year earlier. He knows the layout, knows where the bedrooms are, knows they are elderly and vulnerable. He approaches the bedroom where 64-year-old Vincent sleeps, shoots him fatally. Vincent dies instantly. The gunshot wakes his wife Maxine, 44. Ramirez strikes her, binds her, demands valuables. While he searches the room, Maxine frees herself, reaches under the bed, grabs a shotgun. She does not know it is unloaded. She pulls the trigger. Click. Empty chamber. Ramirez turns. His eyes widen. Rage explodes. How dare she fight back? He shoots her fatally. She collapses, but his rage does not subside. He walks to the kitchen, grabs a large carving knife, returns to her body. He carves an inverted cross on her chest, a message to Satan. Then he does something investigators barely told the public about. He removes her eyes surgically, both of them, places them carefully in a jewelry box, takes the box home, keeps it in his apartment as a trophy until his arrest. Why the eyes? Some investigators theorize it is ritualistic. In some occult traditions, removing the eyes prevents the victim's spirit from identifying the perpetrator in the afterlife. Others believe it is simply extreme sadism. He attempts to violate her remains, but cannot due to his emotional state from her resistance. Police arrive. Find the mutilated bodies. Find avia shoe prints in the flower beds outside. Ballistics link the ammunition to the previous attacks on Hernandez, Okazaki, and you. Officially announced, California has a serial killer. Unlike most serial killers, Ramirez has no type, no pattern, no preferred victim demographic. Men, women, children, elderly, young couples, single people, Asian, Latino, white, African American, wealthy neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods, apartments, houses, condos. He uses firearms, knives, hammers, metal pipes, electrical cords, manual strangulation, tire irons. Sometimes he commits assault. Sometimes he ends lives instantly. Sometimes he tortures for hours. Sometimes he steals everything of value. Sometimes he leaves empty-handed. The only constants are brutality and the rotting teeth every survivor remembers, and the invocations to Satan. Swear on Satan you won't scream. Tell me you love Satan. Swear on Satan you're not hiding anything. These phrases become his signature, his way of binding victims not just physically, but spiritually to the darkness he worships. May 14th, Monterey Park. 66-year-old William Doyle hears noise downstairs, grabs his firearm, descends the stairs. Ramirez shoots him before he can defend himself, beats him unconscious. His wife Lillian, 56, is disabled. Ramirez binds her with thumb cuffs, specialized restraints. He assaults her, demands valuables, ransacks the home, leaves William critically injured. William dies in hospital from his injuries. May 29th, Monrovia. Two elderly sisters live together, 83-year-old Mabel Bell and 80-year-old Florence Lang. Ramirez finds a hammer in their kitchen, uses it to attack both women in their beds, binds them. Then he finds an electrical cord, electrocutes them repeatedly. He assaults Florence Lang. Then he does something new. Using Mabel Bell's lipstick, he draws a satanic pentagram on her thigh, draws another on the bedroom wall, another in Florence's room. The sisters are found 2 days later by a worried neighbor, alive but comatose. Mabel Bell dies in hospital July 15th. Florence Lang dies in August, never regaining consciousness. May 30th, Burbank. 42-year-old Carol Kyle and her 11-year-old son sleep in their home. Ramirez breaks in, handcuffs both mother and son, drags Carol to another bedroom, assaults her repeatedly. "Don't look at me," he screams at her. "Don't look at me or I'll cut out your eyes." The threat is not empty. He has already done it once. After the assault, he turns up the lights, smiles at her. They have a 15 to 20-minute conversation while she remains bound. He asks her for directions to the freeway, seems confused about his location. Before leaving, he handcuffs mother and son together. As he exits, he laughs. "I guess it wouldn't be too good for your son to see you like this." Carol Kyle survives. At trial, she will identify Ramirez calmly and with certainty. She got a good look at him, especially his teeth. July 5th, Sierra Madre. 16-year-old Whitney Bennett sleeps in her bedroom. Around 3 in the morning, Ramirez breaks in, finds a tire iron, enters her room, attacks her head repeatedly with the metal bar while she sleeps. The sound echoes through the house. Her parents somehow do not wake. He searches the kitchen for a blade but finds none, returns to finish. She is still breathing. He grabs a telephone cord, wraps it around her throat, begins strangling her. Suddenly, sparks fly from the cord, electrical short circuit. Ramirez panics, drops the cord, backs away. The girl gasps, begins breathing again. He flees the house. Later, after his arrest, investigators ask him why he left Whitney Bennett alive. His answer shocks them. He believes Jesus Christ intervened to save her. He believes the electrical sparks were divine intervention. Even Ramirez, devoted Satanist, acknowledges a power greater than his dark master. Whitney survives. Doctors require 478 stitches to close the wounds on her head. She will suffer permanent brain damage, but will live to testify against him. July 7th, Monterey Park. 61-year-old Joyce Lucille Nelson sleeps on her couch. Ramirez breaks in, does not use a weapon this time, uses his feet, stomps on her face repeatedly while she sleeps. The force is so extreme that an avia shoe print remains imprinted on her face. That same night, he attacks 63-year-old Sophie Dickman in her home, attempts assault but cannot perform. Frustrated, he steals her jewelry instead. When she swears she has nothing else of value, he forces her to swear on Satan that she is telling the truth. She does, terrified, whatever it takes to survive. August 8th through 9th, Diamond Bar, the Abawath family, 35-year-old Elias and 27-year-old Sakina sleep peacefully. Their 3-year-old son sleeps in his bedroom. Around 2:30 in the morning, Ramirez breaks in, shoots Elias fatally. Sakina wakes to find her husband deceased beside her. Ramirez beats her, binds her with handcuffs, assaults her brutally. The 3-year-old son enters, drawn by the noise. Ramirez restrains the child, continues assaulting the mother while the toddler watches, bound and terrified. He demands Sakina swear on Satan she will not scream. She does, anything to protect her son. After Ramirez leaves, Sakina frees herself, checks on her deceased husband, then unties her son and sends him to neighbors for help. When police arrive, she describes the attacker: stained and crooked teeth. Knowing police are now searching for him everywhere in Los Angeles, Ramirez continues his rampage. August 17th, Glendale. Ramirez purchases a machete, the kind used for clearing jungle brush, a weapon designed to cut through dense material. He steals an orange Toyota, drives to the home of Layla and Maxon Niding, 66 and 68, attacks them with the machete, shoots both fatally, then continues mutilating the bodies, driven by rage or ritual or both. Same night, Sun Valley, home of the Hovenant family. 32-year-old Chainarung Hovenant sleeps beside his wife Somkid, 29. Their 8-year-old son sleeps in another room. Ramirez enters silently, shoots Chainarung fatally while he sleeps. The gunshot wakes Somkid. Ramirez strikes her, binds her, enters the son's room, wakes the terrified child, binds him, drags Somkid through the house by her hair, demanding valuables. He assaults her repeatedly, forces her to swear on Satan she is not hiding money, threatens harm to her son if she disobeys. The 8-year-old boy lies bound in his room, listening to his mother's screams. Later, Somkid describes the attacker to police: brown skin, bad teeth, 30 to 35, 150 pounds, about 6'1". Teeth. Again, the teeth. August 18th, home of Peter and Barbara Pan in San Francisco. 66-year-old Peter is shot fatally while sleeping. 62-year-old Barbara is beaten and assaulted, then shot in the head. Miraculously, she survives. On the bedroom wall, using Barbara's lipstick, Ramirez writes, "Jack the Knife," draws a large pentagram, a message. He sees himself as the next Jack the Ripper, a legend of evil, Satan's disciple doing the Dark One's work. August 24th, Mission Viejo. This will be his final attack, but he does not know it yet. By late August, police from multiple jurisdictions are coordinating. Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, San Francisco Police, FBI. They have several leads: Avia shoe prints, a rare model called Avia Aerobic. Only 6 pairs in size 11.5 were shipped to California stores. The tread pattern is distinctive. At multiple crime scenes, these prints appear in blood, in dirt, in flower beds. One print is literally branded onto Joyce Lucille Nelson's face. Witnesses describe the attacker's teeth consistently. Almost complete absence of teeth. Killer clown smile, stained and crooked, disgusting rotten teeth. Bad teeth appears in nearly every witness statement. Our biggest clues are his teeth and his feet, recalls lead detective Frank Salerno. An unusual combination, but effective. Police find an abandoned stolen vehicle. Inside, a business card for Dr. Peter Leung, a dentist in Chinatown. The card has a name written on it, Richard Ramirez. Dr. Leung is contacted. He reports, the patient came in with severe toothaches and abscesses. Multiple teeth were decayed. The patient was supposed to return for follow-up treatment, but never showed. Police organize a stakeout at the dental clinic. Officers wait for days. Ramirez never appears. Perhaps he suspects a trap. Perhaps the pain subsided. Perhaps he simply does not care about his teeth. But there is another piece of evidence. At one crime scene, police find an AC/DC baseball cap, black with the band's logo. Witnesses report seeing a man wearing this hat near the crime scene. Police release the photo publicly, hoping someone will recognize it. A childhood acquaintance of Ramirez sees the news, contacts police, says Richard Ramirez from El Paso was a huge AC/DC fan, especially loved the song Night Prowler. The net tightens. Ballistics connect the crimes. The same .22 caliber handgun used in multiple attacks. Shoe prints connect the crimes. The same Avia shoes at scene after scene. San Francisco and Los Angeles cases are now officially linked. One perpetrator, at least 13 confirmed deaths, dozens of other crimes. San Francisco Mayor Dianne Feinstein holds a press conference on August 28th. She wants to reassure the public that progress is being made. She reveals details to the press: the caliber of weapon used, the type of shoes the perpetrator wears. Detectives are furious. They know the perpetrator watches the news. Now he will destroy evidence, change his methods, disappear. Their fears are justified. That same night, Ramirez watches the news, sees the press conference, learns police know about his Avia shoes. In a panic, he drives to the Golden Gate Bridge, throws the shoes into the water below. Evidence gone. But he makes a mistake. He has already left the fingerprint on the stolen Toyota. August 24, 1985. Mission Viejo, an affluent suburb south of Los Angeles. 13-year-old James Romero III cannot sleep. Around 3 in the morning, he hears strange noises outside, looks through his bedroom window, sees a suspicious man lurking near cars, trying door handles. James wakes his parents. They look outside. The man sees them and flees. James runs outside, sees an orange Toyota station wagon driving away. He grabs a pen, writes down a partial license plate number, calls police. Officers arrive, take the report. James gives a description of the man and the vehicle. The report is filed. Police do not yet realize this is the Night Stalker. Ramirez does not know he has been spotted. He is rattled but not deterred. Walks to the neighboring house, home of Bill Carnes, 30, and his fiancée, Inez Erickson, 29. He breaks in, enters the bedroom, shoots Carnes 3 times in the head while he sleeps. Carnes collapses, blood pooling beneath him. Inez wakes to the sound of gunfire. Ramirez strikes her, drags her from the bed, binds her hands with neckties from the closet. Demands she show him where the valuables are. She complies, terrified, trying to stay alive. He forces her to perform acts, then assaults her. Throughout the attack, he repeats, "Swear to me that you love Satan. Tell me you love Satan." Inez, desperate to survive, says what he wants to hear, "I love Satan." Louder, "I love Satan." This satisfies him. Before leaving, he tells her, "Tell them the Night Stalker was here." He wants credit, wants the world to know his name. After he leaves, Inez unties herself, calls 911, gives a detailed description of the attacker: tall, thin, long curly dark hair, and terrible teeth. Carnes is rushed to hospital. Surgeons remove 2 of the 3 bullets from his head. The third is too deep, lodged permanently. Bill Carnes survives but will suffer permanent disabilities. Inez Erickson's description is detailed. Her recollection is sharp. She will be a crucial witness. August 28th. Police locate the orange Toyota station wagon abandoned in Koreatown, Los Angeles. The vehicle matches James Romero's partial license plate. This is the Night Stalker's car. Forensic teams process the vehicle. Ramirez wiped it down thoroughly. No prints on the steering wheel, door handles, dashboard. He was careful. But he made one mistake. On the rearview mirror, a single fingerprint. Partial, but enough. The print is sent to the new computerized fingerprint identification system. The system is cutting-edge technology, only installed weeks earlier. The database contains prints of criminals born after January 1st, 1960. Ramirez was born February 29, 1960, just under 2 months after the cutoff. If he had been born a few months earlier, he would not be in the system. Luck, or fate, or divine intervention. The computer processes the print. Hours later, a match. Ricardo Richard Munoz Ramirez, 25 years old, drifter from Texas. Arrest record, traffic violations, drug possession, minor burglaries. Mugshot on file from a 1984 arrest. August 29th. Police make a decision. Go public. At a press conference, they announce, "We know who you are. Soon, everyone will know. You have nowhere to hide." They release Ramirez's mugshot to every news outlet in California. Television, newspapers, radio. By the morning of August 30th, his face is plastered across every front page, every news broadcast, every store window. Ricardo Munoz Ramirez is the most wanted man in California. August 30th. Ramirez, unaware he has been identified, boards a Greyhound bus to Tucson, Arizona. He plans to visit his brother, lay low for a while. The bus ride takes hours. He sleeps, reads, does not watch television or buy newspapers, arrives in Tucson in the evening. His brother is not home. Ramirez waits. His brother never shows. Morning of August 31st. Ramirez boards the bus back to Los Angeles, still unaware, still believing he is safe. The bus pulls into downtown Los Angeles around 7:30 in the morning. Ramirez exits, walks past police officers stationed at the terminal, watching for him. They do not recognize him. His appearance has changed slightly. No AC/DC hat, different clothes. He walks into a small convenience store in East Los Angeles, a predominantly Latino neighborhood. Inside, a group of elderly Latino women are chatting. They see him. Their eyes widen. They whisper to each other. El Matador. The killer? Ramirez senses something is wrong. Approaches the counter, picks up a copy of La Opinión, a Spanish-language newspaper. Looks at the front page. His face stares back at him. Large photo. Headline, Invasor Nocturno, Night Intruder. Panic. He drops the newspaper, bolts from the store. The store owner shouts, "SL Night Stalker." It's him. It's the Night Stalker. Ramirez runs, sprints across the Santa Ana freeway, dodging traffic. Cars honk, drivers swerve. He reaches the other side, sees an unlocked Ford Mustang, tries to steal it. The owner, Faustino Piñon, sees him, grabs him. Ramirez punches him, breaks free. He runs down the street, tries another car. Angelina de la Torre is getting out of her vehicle. Ramirez tries to steal her keys. Her husband, Manuel de la Torre, sees this, grabs a metal fence post, swings, connects with Ramirez's head. Ramirez stumbles. Blood pours from his scalp. He keeps running. By now, a crowd has formed. More than 10 residents, men with pipes, bats, tools. They chase him down Hubbard Street in Boyle Heights. Ramirez, disoriented and bleeding, cannot escape. They corner him near a residential home. Jose Burgoyne strikes him with a steel rod. Others join in, beating him, kicking him. Decades of fear and rage unleashed on one man. Around 8 in the morning, a resident calls 911, reports a mob beating someone. Police arrive within minutes. When they pull up, Ramirez is on the ground, bloodied, barely conscious. "Thank God you came," he gasps. He knows the truth. The mob would have ended him. Officer Jim Kaiser places handcuffs on Ramirez, reads him his rights. The crowd cheers. Some cry. Relief washes over the neighborhood. As police load him into the patrol car, a crowd of over 50 residents has gathered. They are chanting in Spanish, "Mátalo, mátalo, end him, end him." Officer Kaiser looks at the bloodied man in handcuffs. Later, he will tell reporters, "I've been a cop for 15 years. I've arrested murderers, violent offenders, gang members, but I've never seen a crowd so ready to take justice into their own hands. If we had arrived 5 minutes later, there would have been nothing left to arrest." Ramirez, half conscious in the back seat, mumbles something. Kaiser leans closer. "What did you say?" Ramirez smiles through broken teeth. Blood drips from his mouth. "I said, see you in the afterlife. California can sleep peacefully tonight." July 22nd, 1988. Jury selection begins. Nearly 3 years after his arrest. The trial has been delayed repeatedly. Legal motions, mental health evaluations, media circus. At his first court appearance, Ramirez raises his hand. On his palm, drawn in ink, a pentagram, he shouts, "Hail Satan!" Photographers capture the moment. The image runs on every newspaper in America. Ramirez smiles. He is enjoying this. Throughout the trial, he wears dark sunglasses, refuses to show remorse, smiles at victims' families, gestures to female admirers in the gallery. Yes, he has admirers. Dozens of women attend every session, dressed to impress him. August 3rd, 1988. The Los Angeles Times reports that prison guards overheard Ramirez planning an escape. He allegedly planned to have a weapon smuggled into the courtroom, attack the prosecutor, and flee during the chaos. Security is intensified. Metal detectors installed. Guards doubled. August 14th. Court is interrupted. One of the jurors, Phyllis Singletary, does not appear. Bailiffs call her home. No answer. Police are sent to her apartment. They find her deceased, shot. Her boyfriend also deceased beside her. Apparent murder-suicide. The courtroom erupts in panic. Did Ramirez orchestrate this from jail? Can he reach anyone? Jurors are terrified. Some request police protection. Investigation reveals the truth. Phyllis Singletary was a victim of domestic violence unrelated to the trial. Her boyfriend then took his own life. Ramirez is not involved. but the damage is done. The alternate juror who replaces Singletary is afraid to go home alone for weeks. During the trial, prosecutors emphasize Ramirez's teeth. Forensic dentists testify. 9 teeth were severely decayed, multiple teeth missing from both upper and lower jaws. The few remaining teeth were discolored, crooked, broken. Witness after witness describes the teeth. Maria Hernandez: I saw his mouth. The teeth were horrible. Missing, black, Carol Kyle: he smiled at me. I'll never forget those teeth, like a skeleton. Some kid Hovenant: bad teeth, very bad, brown, crooked. Esther Petcher, who saw Ramirez in a shop where he bought the AC/DC hat found at a crime scene, testifies, he had almost a complete absence of teeth. It was like looking at something inhuman. The smile was grotesque. Glenn Creason, librarian at Los Angeles Public Library, describes seeing Ramirez multiple times. His teeth were absolutely disgusting, rotting. I remember thinking, how can someone let their teeth deteriorate that severely? But the most crucial testimony comes from Dr. Peter Leung, the Chinatown dentist. Ramirez's father, Julian, attempts to create an alibi for his son. He testifies that between May 29th and 30th, 1985, Richard was with family in El Paso, Texas. During these exact dates, the Night Stalker attacked Mabel Bell, Florence Lang, and Carol Kyle in California. Prosecutor Philip Halpin calls Dr. Leung to the stand. The dentist presents records. Richard Mina, later confirmed to be Richard Ramirez, had a dental consultation in Los Angeles on May 30th. He complained of severe tooth pain. He needed extensive work. He was scheduled for follow-up appointments. The alibi is destroyed. Ramirez was not in Texas. He was in Los Angeles, getting dental treatment between attacks. Once again, the teeth give away the perpetrator. Throughout the trial, Ramirez's satanic beliefs are explored. Prosecutors present evidence of his devotion to darkness, pentagrams drawn at crime scenes, inverted crosses, satanic phrases spoken to victims, his repeated demands that victims swear on Satan. A psychiatric evaluation is read to the court. Ramirez told the psychiatrist, "I am beyond good and evil. I will be avenged. Lucifer dwells in us all." When asked if he felt remorse, Ramirez responded, "Remorse is for the weak. I serve a higher power." Satan rewards the strong. He believed his crimes were not evil. They were service. He saw himself as a soldier in Satan's army. Every act of violence, every act of cruelty was an offering to his dark master. During testimony about the AC/DC connection, Ramirez smiles, confirms he loved Night Prowler, says the lyrics spoke to him. "I was the Night Prowler. That's what I did. I prowled at night." A C/DC releases a statement distancing themselves from Ramirez. The band condemns his actions, states the song was never meant to inspire violence, but the damage is done. Their 1985 tour faces protests and boycotts. September 20th, 1989. After months of testimony, hundreds of witnesses, thousands of pieces of evidence, the jury deliberates. 22 days later, they return. Guilty. 43 counts total. 13 confirmed deaths, 5 attempted murders, 11 assaults, 14 burglaries. The courtroom is silent as the verdict is read. Ramirez shows no emotion. Victims' families weep. Some shout in relief. The penalty phase begins. Will Ramirez receive life in prison or death? November 7th, 1989. Judge Michael Tynan reads the jury's decision. 19 special circumstances, each one carrying the death penalty. 19 times the judge reads, "We, The jury, in the above entitled action, fixed the penalty at death. 19 death sentences. Ramirez finally reacts. He stands, addresses the courtroom. His voice is calm, almost amused. Big deal. Death always went with me. You don't understand that you're all going to die too. I'll be waiting for each of you. To reporters outside, he says, "See you in Disneyland." The trial has cost $1.8 million, the most expensive criminal trial in California history at that time. Ramirez is sent to San Quentin Prison, California's death row, cell block where the state's condemned wait for execution. But something strange happens. Letters begin arriving. Dozens, then hundreds, from women across America. Love letters, marriage proposals, fan mail. They call themselves his admirers. They believe he is misunderstood. They are attracted to his rebelliousness, his defiance, his darkness. The phenomenon is called hybristophilia, attraction to criminals. One woman stands out, Doreen Leoy, 41-year-old magazine editor. Beginning in 1985, she writes Ramirez 75 letters. She visits him regularly. They develop a relationship through glass and phone. In 1988, Ramirez proposes. October 3, 1996. They marry inside San Quentin Prison. Doreen wears a white wedding dress purchased for $148, decorated with pearls. They are allowed to hold hands. They kiss. The wedding lasts 15 minutes. Doreen tells reporters, "It's a wonderful feeling. I'm so happy. I'm so excited, very proud, and a bit relieved that the main part of the day is behind us. I just believe in him completely, in his innocence." For years, Doreen publicly states she will take her own life when Ramirez is executed. She believes he is innocent, believes he was framed, despite all evidence, despite his own statements. But by the time of Ramirez's death in 2013, Doreen has disappeared. The marriage ended sometime after 2009, when DNA analysis confirmed Ramirez was responsible for the 1984 death of 9-year-old Mei Leung. Even Doreen's devotion has limits. By 2013, Ramirez is engaged to a 23-year-old writer. Until the very end, women are drawn to him. September 3, 1985, less than a week after his arrest, Ramirez requests to see the prison dentist, Dr. Alfred Otero. Over the next 9 months, Dr. Otero performs extensive dental work, root canals, extractions, fillings, crowns, the most comprehensive dental treatment Ramirez has ever received. The teeth that gave him away, the teeth every victim remembered, the teeth that destroyed his father's alibi, now they are fixed, clean, white, normal. During a 1993 interview, Ramirez smiles for the camera. His teeth look perfect. When asked about his case, he demonstrates complete lack of remorse. The interviewer asks, "Do you feel any regret for what happened?" Ramirez leans forward, his eyes intense. "Regret for what? I was just doing what I was meant to do. You think I'm unique? Look around. People harm each other for governments, for religion, for money. I did it for something real, for a power you're too afraid to acknowledge. Do you believe in Satan? I believe in many things. Satan is one of them. I don't see the world like you do. I see truth." What truth? That we're all going to die anyway. Some of us just accelerate the process for others. I served a purpose. I was an instrument. The interviewer asks about his fans, the women who write to him. Ramirez smiles wider, showing his perfect new teeth. "They understand me. They see past what society tells them to see. They see authenticity. I never pretended to be something I'm not. Do you think you'll be executed? Eventually, maybe. But it doesn't matter. Death is just a transition. I'll continue my work on the other side. Your work? Service to the Dark One. It doesn't end when the body dies. The interview airs. Millions watch. Some are horrified. Others are fascinated. Ramirez becomes a dark celebrity, a symbol of unrepentant evil. Ramirez spends 28 years on death row. California's death penalty system is notoriously slow. Appeals, motions, re-examinations. Decades pass. He ages. His hair grays. His body weakens. But his beliefs never waver. August 7th, 2006. The California Supreme Court rejects his first major appeal, upholds all 19 death sentences. Ramirez files more appeals. He gives occasional interviews, maintains his innocence on some charges, admits others, contradicts himself constantly, plays mind games with journalists and investigators. In prison, he corresponds with fans, receives money orders, accepts gifts, lives better than many inmates because of his supporters' generosity. But his body is failing. Years of substance abuse, hepatitis C from needle sharing, poor health his entire life, genetics, fate catching up. June 7th, 2013, Marin General Hospital, Greenbrae, California. Ricardo Munoz Ramirez, 53 years old, dies of complications from B-cell lymphoma, a blood cancer, his body riddled with disease, chronic hepatitis C, chronic substance abuse effects, a lifetime of neglect catching up in the end. He dies in a hospital bed, not in the execution chamber, never executed. 19 death sentences unfulfilled. News of his death spreads quickly. Victims' families react with mixed emotions. Some feel relief. The monster is finally gone. Others feel cheated. He should have been executed, should have suffered more, should have faced the same terror his victims faced. Doreen Leoy does not take her own life as she promised. She is not heard from, presumably alive somewhere, living under the shadow of her choices. No one claims Ramirez's body. No family steps forward. He is cremated, ashes disposed of, gone. Behind the statistics, 13 confirmed deaths, at least 5 attempted murders, 11 assaults, dozens of other crimes, are real people. Real lives destroyed. 9-year-old Mei Lung, who wanted to find $1. 79-year-old Jenny Vinsau, attacked in her sleep. Vincent and Maxine Zazara, married for decades, victimized in their own bed. Maxine's eyes stolen as trophies. 83-year-old Mabel Bell and 80-year-old Florence Lang, elderly sisters, tortured. 32-year-old Chainarong Hovanant, shot while his wife was assaulted and his 8-year-old son listened. 35-year-old Elias Abawath, killed while his 3-year-old watched his mother harmed. 16-year-old Whitney Bennett, 478 stitches, permanent brain damage. Young children scarred forever. Bill Carnes, shot 3 times in the head, survived but disabled for life. Dozens of others, survivors who live with nightmares, who still fear the dark, who still check locked doors multiple times before sleeping. These are the people we must remember, not the perpetrator, the victims. The Night Stalker case changed California law enforcement permanently. Computerized fingerprint databases became standard across the state. Cross-jurisdictional information sharing improved. The case demonstrated how crucial technology is in modern policing. Victim support services expanded. Trauma counseling became standard for survivors of violent crime. Home security became a priority. Sales of alarm systems, security cameras, Guard dogs skyrocketed. Neighborhoods organized watch programs. People stopped sleeping with unlocked windows, even in summer heat. But perhaps the most significant change was cultural. The illusion of safety vanished. The idea that monsters only exist in movies, that evil only happens to other people, shattered. Californians learned evil can come through any window, any night, without warning. The AC/DC controversy faded with time. The band continued making music. Night Prowler remained in their catalog. Most people understood blaming music for criminal behavior is absurd. But the case raised questions about influence, about how media affects troubled minds, about where personal responsibility begins and external factors end. Ramirez claimed the song inspired him, but millions heard Night Prowler and never committed violence. The song did not create the monster. The monster chose the song because it reflected what he already was. Miguel Ramirez, the cousin who showed a child photographs of mutilated victims, bears far more responsibility than any musician. But here is something they never told the public. When police searched Ramirez's apartment after his arrest, they found the jewelry box, the one containing Maxine Zazara's eyes. Inside were other items, photographs, newspaper clippings, and a handwritten list. 23 names, 13 matched confirmed victims, 10 did not. To this day, those 10 names remain unidentified. Police investigated, found no missing persons reports matching the descriptions, no bodies recovered, no connection to known cases. Were they future targets, past victims never discovered, or fantasies written during substance-influenced states? We will never know. Ramirez died without telling. He took his secrets to the grave. Somewhere in California, 10 families may never know what happened to their loved ones. 10 bodies may still be waiting to be found. 10 names that haunt the case files. This is the true horror of Richard Ramirez, not just what we know he did, but what we may never know. Over 40 years since his capture, Richard Ramirez remains a symbol. Netflix documentaries, true crime podcasts, YouTube videos, books, academic studies. He was not the most prolific serial killer. He was not the most intelligent. But he was among the most terrifying because he had no pattern, no type. Anyone could be next. That randomness, that chaos, makes him unforgettable and horrifying. Criminal psychology students study his case, the randomness of victim selection, the mixture of organized and disorganized behavior, the satanic beliefs intertwined with substance abuse and childhood trauma. But no amount of analysis can fully explain him. Some evil defies understanding. Ricardo Muñoz Ramirez was born on February 29, 1960, a day that exists once every 4 years, a calendar anomaly. Perhaps fate marked him from birth as something that should not exist. His childhood was a nightmare. Violent father, war, criminal mentor, abuse, trauma, substances, head injuries, all the ingredients for disaster. But millions survive terrible childhoods and do not become serial killers. Ramirez made choices. He chose violence, chose cruelty, chose Satan, chose evil. He was not caught by genius detectives building a psychological profile. He was caught by technology only weeks old, a computerized database that existed by pure chance. He was caught by ordinary citizens, residents of East Los Angeles, who refused to let evil escape. He was not convicted by complex forensics or brilliant detective work. He was convicted by teeth, rotting, missing, grotesque teeth. The most ordinary failure of self-care became his downfall. Dental records destroyed his father's alibi. Witness descriptions of his smile connected the crimes. His refusal to see a dentist became the thread that unraveled everything. He died a natural death 28 years later, 19 death sentences unfulfilled. Some call it injustice. Others call it mercy he did not deserve. Still others call it simply fate. But the victims do not return. The families never fully heal. The scars remain. The 10 names on his list remain a mystery. The truth died with him. This was the story of Ricardo Munoz Ramirez, the Night Stalker, the man with the devil's smile. The killer stopped not by heroes, but by rotting teeth and ordinary people who chose to fight back. Remember the victims, not the monster. Remember their names, their faces, their lives cut short. Do not forget evil exists. Do not forget it can wear a human face. Do not forget the cost of violence. And never forget, sometimes justice comes not from perfection, but from the smallest mistakes evil makes. The rotting teeth of a devil.